Okay, so I suppose we'll start with the end and work to the beginning. The name that I carry, its end is its beginning, and its beginning is its end. It's a name that means itself. And so, Mercurio, my last name. In Gnosis, that name, that word, is also known as alchemy, or the alchemic process. And so, well, what's that? Well, what that is that which manifests Christ by unifying the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And my first name, spelled with an F, Christofer, or Christofer. Well, so Christ is a masculine form of a name, and Ophir, or of her, well, that's a feminine name. And so its beginning is its end, and the end is its beginning. Pretty deep. So it means, if you read it all the way through, Christ offers alchemy to the all, to God. But there's a transformation that's required. Well, funny enough, my middle name, Lorenz, there's a mathematician in the past that had pioneered the theory of general relativity before Einstein. And the process is one in which a person's capacity to understand input-output data in forms of light when the destination is fixed, that's called the Lorenz transformation. And so you have that name, that's beginning, its end, its the beginning, and through transformation, it is what it is. And so then I think about, well, how else does it apply to me? What are the things I've been doing in my life, I wonder? What are the things that, well, the things that I do, well, time seems to slip away, like I'm meant for it. And those things would be things that involve consciousness, thought, creativity, music, patterns, mathematics. Well, who does that come from? Well, in Vedic religions, it comes from Agni. And Agni is known as the triple god guarding the southeast, or the triple-faced god guarding the southeast. In Greek mythology, they're known as Hermes, or Mercury, or Hermes Trismegistus. And they were responsible for what? Bringing knowledge, creativity, mathematics, and music, among other things. And then, if I were to just talk about the transformation, right, or crossing a river, the name of the saint that carried Jesus as a baby across a river, their name was Saint Christofer. And Ophir in Norse also means river. And then you have a interesting parallel with the first syllable of my first name, Christ. And so, well, how did that happen? You have two parents, or two people, they share a moment, two sexual reproductive cells come together to form you the way they are, and for some reason, parents choose your name. Well, here's what's interesting about that. My mother's name, when you go back ethnically, but translate it in Greek and Latin, it means Mary. And I didn't meet my biological father for up until a few years ago. And the first dad that I met, he had a German name, which means of. And my first dad, I like to call him, he's half black and half white. And when I found out his birth name, I found out that it's Joseph. And my mother, when she gave birth, she wasn't married at the time. And so what does that mean? So my name, meaning itself, also had already pre-aligned with an archetype. And so my mother's name is Mary in Greek and Latin. And my first dad's name, who's of my father, is named Joseph. And if you look up virgin birth in the Webster Dictionary, it means a woman who wasn't married at the time. Now, we can even go into that just a little bit deeper. The alchemic process, or the manifestation of Christ process, although it exists, it's not happening at full scale. In other words, there is a split between that which is needed for it to happen and that which else is needed for it to happen. And so you can say that, well, with a little bit of history, but Hermes, Mercury, source of power was, or is, the caduceus. You might have seen it in a hospital building and stuff like that. It's a staff with two snakes. Snakes represent knowledge. And so, well, where's the split? Well, you have one staff that Moses has. It went west. And then another staff that still has a serpent on it, Moses, and it stayed in the east. And so historically, there's a split in the Christ manifestation process. There's a split in the alchemy process. That split is represented in Judeo-Christianity. So to offer the Christ manifestation is something that's available to everyone. But perhaps it manifests in flesh because things aren't in balance. And so here I am. Here we are. And you think about what it took to make a human and how your parents or parent may have decided on your name before you came into the world. So think about that. What does your name mean? What could it possibly mean?